Welcome to BARI Banter, where we talk everything bariatric surgery with the people that know it best, the patients. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with my co-hostess with the mostest,
Lita. So sit back, relax, and remember, sip, sip, sip.
So I guess we start this podcast by talking about the elephant in the room. By elephant in the room, I mean...
What are you sipping on?
Yeah, it's dry July, and it looks like we're drinking beer, but disappointingly and embarrassingly, we are drinking non-alcoholic beer.
So I've got the Peroni Liberia, which is a 0% Italiana beer.
Yeah, and I've got a fake Heineken because, you know, it's Saturday night and we're like, woo, yeah, we're like young and hip and down with the cruise. And
the most embarrassing part was when we went to the bottle shop bought it. She was like, oh, dry July.
I love that the chick at the counter saw it and was like, oh, dry July, is it? And then I was like, yeah. She's like, and then looked at you like for reinforcement because she thought you must have not been doing it. And then you guys were like a team, but then you put your little like fake beer up as well. And I think she was like, you're one of them too.
I should have been like, no, I'm pregnant, bitch.
Wow, Jesus, savage.
The funny thing is, though, is that when you walked away, she was like, enjoy your night. And you're like, and she goes, wow, you sound so happy about that.
The weekends are the hardest, though, with dry July. And, you know, because it's obviously, I guess, the mentality thing of like, oh, it's Friday night, going to have a couple of bevies.
See, I find it really hard after working a 10-hour shift at work coming home because I'm like, you know, I've had a big day and I'm like a bit stressed. And all I want to do is come home and have a glass of wine, whereas you find it harder
on the weekends. I think it's programmed into me because it's always been a thing to be like, it's the weekend, have a drink.
Mind you, you got thrown into the deep end this afternoon.
Oh, didn't I? I had to be designated driver. You know, Mum called one of the mum card tickets where it's like, I need you to come pick me up, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. Where do I have to pick you up from to drive her home? Because obviously she had a few drinks. Just at the brewery. So it was like at a brewery. So I had to, not only did I have to go pick her up, but I had to sit there, have
2 hours.
It was like 2 hours.
It was almost
a
2
long
hours,
time.
yeah.
And I'm sitting there having like a ginger beer and like non-alcoholic, but I must add, while Mum and Dad and their friends are just getting amongst it and loving life. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really testing me. Because I realized today it's like the 17th of this month. So we're kind of halfway.
We're halfway.
Seems like it's been a lot longer than that.
Look, and I'm not going to lie. From at the very beginning, I said that there was going to be a handful of days where I had 1 or 2 drinks. One of them being my dad's birthday last weekend, where I had 2 gin and tonics, and then one of them being tomorrow at one of our friends' weddings. Yeah. So I'll have a glass of champagne to toast the bride and groom. But I'm very proud of myself of actually being able to just stop at 1 or 2.
I think that's harder.
I think it is too.
Yeah, like having a couple and then like not grabbing a couple on the way home.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of like, you know, like I say, once you pop, you can't stop. Like once you have 1 or 2, it's like you got to go, and that's it.
Yeah, it's been an interesting 17 days. But cheers to making it 17.
Because we were actually meant to be going to Melbourne next week.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been a test for me. Like being amongst like weight loss people and friends and, you know, and not being able to like just, you know, let loose a little bit. I think that would have been a test. Because, you know, there was a meetup in Melbourne.
Yeah, they got that through just in the nick of time.
And it looked like a lot of fun.
And one of our guests today is
we have multiple.
No, we've got our guest today.
Yeah.
This non-alcoholic beer has gone straight to my head. But our guest today was actually at this party on it was last week? Yeah.
We actually saw him in the photos and we're like, no.
We couldn't believe it was him. And he's actually a past guest of ours. So we spoke to him when he was just 7 weeks out from surgery. And we thought it was about time to
get him back
and touch base. Him back. So I don't really think that we really need to do much of an introduction. So
you just mention who it is and we can get chatting away.
Well, let's just bring up good old Nick Gilbert, also known as Fat Boy Slim on Instagram. Hey,
G'day, guys. How you going?
Good. Nick. Geez, you look very handsome, may I add. Sitting there, or I think that, as we were just saying before, when we put you up on the screen, I was like, that smile has got massive. Like it is ear to ear. You look like the man you want to be.
Yep, 100%. I feel like the man that I always was. So you know, I now have it on the outside as what's on the inside too. So I'm feeling super, and it's amazing, just amazing.
I love that you said that because we actually re-listened to your episode prior to getting you on so that we could remember what we spoke about with you, almost 6 months ago. And one of the things is that you wanted to be able to feel like as good on the outside as what you did on the inside. And you literally, that was the first thing you just said off the cab of the rank. That was the first thing you said. Like, it was just great to see that must be where you're at.
Yeah, 100%. I'm still just mind blown that, that this is me. And that's that body dysmorphia thing where it just plays with your head and you think, how can this actually be when you walk into a shop and you can put on a shirt and you go, what? That's a medium, like how does that work? Or you try on a pair of pants and you think, oh, I'll get the size 34 and they go, oh, they're way too big,
Yeah.
So it's sort of
having to adjust.
It's still catching up, but hey, it's a good issue to have.
Yeah, it is. Because the last time we spoke to you, I think you were 6 weeks out from surgery. And
7 weeks out.
7 weeks out. And now, it's 6 months later, I think it is, isn't it? So, you're 7 months, 7.5 months out. So do you feel like everything has kind of gone to plan for you?
It definitely has. And I think having Hayley gone through it, my wife, having go through it all and seen her do it too, it reaffirms that the way that she did it is the way I've gone with it, has really worked us well. Getting our mind right before we actually, got to the surgery and getting everything right diet-wise really made a big difference. And it's now one of these things where I don't even think about getting fast food. I don't even think about getting anything bad from sort of any shops or anything, because for one, I don't want to waste my money because you don't eat hardly any of it. And two, I just look and think it's not worth it. I've had all this surgery and, the recovery and the whole process of it, and just think, well, what's the point of going backwards?
It's funny because whenever I think of junk food, I used to think of like, when you watch the TV and you see a piece of pizza with like the cheese dripping off it, and like they obviously use those images to make you think like, oh God, that looks amazing. I actually look at that now and I think about how it feels when I eat it, and I know that my body doesn't feel good from eating it. And it's so funny how like a switch has been flicked in my brain to be like, oh, that no longer feels good for me. Rather, like, I know it tastes good, but my body doesn't want it anymore.
You get addicted to the way your body feels.
Yeah.
Rather than the way, because as much as you can get addicted to like the way your body changes and your appearance changes, I think that's something you should really get addicted to, is how you feel with certain foods. And I know for me that was a big thing, because because obviously when we were bigger, I guess you didn't really, like, I used to just eat to eat. I didn't eat to taste, where I feel like having my stomach size reduced, it made me kind of appreciate food in a different way.
Yeah.
Rather than going for like bulk, give me it all, it started making me go, what else is there on this menu? Yeah. How did you find, because obviously you went to the meet up at Melbourne, how are you finding the public situations? Are you feeling more confident, do you feel?
Yeah, I do. I've always been a pretty confident person. I can go up and talk to anybody at any time in any place, and that's probably one thing that annoys my wife, is I tend to sort of go and leave her and talk to other people. But it just, I don't know. It's very hard to explain that. I feel where you walk into a room and you think, well, okay, people are coming to talk to me. For me, they're not coming over and talking to me because, oh, that's the big guy sitting in the corner over there or anything like that. They just sort of come over and go, oh, hey, how you going? Just a regular sort of person,
Yeah.
So, it was really great to meet up, and Briar and her crew did an amazing job last week. It was really well organised, very chilled, and everyone had a bit of a hoot of a time. And I think I've only just started to dry out. So it was, one of those nights.
I was going to ask you, because, last time we spoke to you, you'd just gone to, I think it was a work Christmas party, and you were sort of saying that you were just on purees and you weren't able to eat much, and all you wanted to do was like have a beer. Have you found, obviously now being 6 months or 7 months down the track, how are you finding alcohol is affecting you now?
It's definitely not the way I used to be able to drink, that's for sure. Like, I'm quite fine with alcohol now. I will have drinks sort of every Friday night and whatnot, where previously I would get say a 10-pack of wild turkey and enjoy that over the course of the night, and now split that way down, and you only need a few to really have a good time now. So yeah, I'm a bit of a toucan Sam, but sometimes I forget and get a little bit carried away, and yeah, then you get to that point where you're sort of like, oh, I'm sorry, wife.
I'm sorry, wife. I made that joke today actually to my mum. I was like, because Origin was last Wednesday and I didn't drink, and I said, the big thing with alcohol is, I have to be responsible for my actions now, because like I may get a bit carried away on Origin, and I'm quite passionate. But then I said to mum, I didn't have any drinks, so the next day I couldn't be like, sorry about that, I got a little bit drunk last night. I was a little bit like, I was sober Sam. So, just had to
take responsibility for your actions.
I know, because you can sometimes use alcohol as like, it was a big night, did some things, questionable things. It was the alcohol talking. So I don't know.
That's what you used for the first Origin night when we were out.
Yeah, literally get rowdy and just be like, oh, that Shannon on the alcohol, he's a bit of a douche on the piss. But yeah, apart from that, like with the public, like, because that was why I was kind of leading to the meetup, going out into public, because I know sometimes we can put across a confident version of ourselves and sometimes feel very insecure and maybe not really relay that. Because I know with me, I used to always be like, I like love me, kind of, and put this false thing across as a bigger guy, but have real insecurities inside. Like, do you feel like that's something that, in a public situation now, you, do feel less, I guess, self-conscious? Do you feel that, or have you not really ever felt that?
I've never really felt that. I always like to dress nicely. I always feel if I dress nice, then I feel good on the outside. And I always sort of felt good in a social situation. I never got sort of intimidated or anything like that, because people are just like yourselves, just regular people, and you're just having a chat. And it wouldn't matter if I was talking to just you guys or if I was talking to the CEO of, anything. It just wouldn't matter because you're just a regular person. And that's how I've always thought of it. And as I said last time, I've always felt like the, skinny on the inside and just, skinnier on the outside than what I actually was. So I always just, I don't know, I've never had that social anxiety, whatnot. So I've always sort of had that, and it's not confidence or an arrogance, or not an arrogance or anything like that. It's just more, hey, I'm comfortable and, I can.
That's a good spot to be.
Yeah.
That's a really good. Yeah, that's a, I wish. Yeah, I definitely didn't have that. I was very insecure as a person, but it's something I guess you've established over time, and through the experiences you've had, it's kind of made you more of a all-round just accepting of yourself kind of person. So yeah.
So if you were always that confident person beforehand, even with the weight on, and you're saying that you're still that same person, but obviously your exterior now matches your interior, so to speak, what are the drastic things for you that has changed? Because a lot of people, it is their personality, they're getting more confident, that sort of thing, as they lose the weight. What is it for you that has sort of been the number one changing point for you essentially along this journey?
Being able to play with the kids a lot easier is one of those things, to be able to get down on the ground and get back up easy enough to have that energy with them and not get tired and things. That's one thing that's a major deal, instead of carrying around, 140 kilos, getting up and down now. That's a big difference now with the kids. And that's one area that I've noticed. So that's one of the main reasons why I got the surgery, is because of the kids. I want to be around for them and be the best dad that I possibly can be. And yeah, it's working a treat.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something to really, like, I did a post about it the other day with, kind of appreciating those things, like things in life that become easier minus the weight, because yeah, weight's just weight and it's, a physical appearance thing, but, it makes things in life easier. Not carrying around like, 2 bags of cement with you, being able to bend down to pick up after your kids and then not go, oh, my back, things like that. They're really good things to appreciate, as they will be huge motivation moving forward, because sometimes I think we can just be like, oh yeah, I put my socks up without holding my breath, so what? but you couldn't have maybe done that once upon a time. So it's kind of a big deal.
That's right. And one of the biggest things, my daughter is doing swimming lessons at the moment, and I got the surgery. Well, I got the surgery just before she started, the swimming lessons. So now that I'm able to get to the pool, happy to take the shirt off and jump in with her and not be that self-conscious. That was one area that I never did, was I never took my shirt off. It didn't matter where I was. I always had a singlet on or whatever it was. And now just to be able to just flick her off and, not care. Like, that's one area that it's changed. That's before I was always self-conscious about the stretch marks or the hips and things like that. But now it's just, rip it off. Don't even think about it. And I think that's just that one area where that confidence that I do have, where I can go talk to anybody, that was one area that I didn't have the confidence, and now it's there, which is great.
So is that more because obviously you felt like others were judging you, or was that something you just didn't feel comfortable?
No, I never felt comfortable. It was probably more like the, he always wears a singlet in the pool, and then I'd say a friend's house or whatnot. But then, the one time you think, you take your shirt off at the pool, what are they going to say? Or, they might just say, hey, you've got your shirt off. And should I have it off? Should I not? Or it's just one of those things where I was like, no, just wear a singlet. I'm happy doing it. And had the farmer's tan and whatnot. So I wasn't too worried about that part of it. But that's one area that's really, really boosted up.
Oh, I love that.
Have you gotten rid of your farmer's tan now, though?
I've got a little bit of the Bahamas tan, the fake tan still left over from last weekend.
I love it.
Oh, I love that.
We actually listened to your podcast today, as Lena said earlier, and
we don't get the sun.
And we were talking, talked about, you had a bit of a Pepsi addiction, Pepsi Max addiction, something I can definitely relate to, as we talked about in the last podcast. Have you relapsed?
Yeah.
Or how are you feeling about that whole situation?
The addiction is not there. I still enjoy a can or two per week, but the addiction's not there anymore. It's more the mineral waters that we drink now at home. We treated ourselves a couple of weekends ago. Haley went over and visited her family, and I got a 2-litre bottle of Pepsi Max because a friend of mine who was coming over, he loves it. So just as a bit of a teaser, and had a couple of glasses, of the Pepsi Max in ice, and it was delicious.
Yeah.
It was delicious. But I just try to steer clear, and it's one of those things you've got to keep hydrated after that surgery, because it's just, you can't drink as much, so you've just got to get whatever fluids you can in, and make sure it's you bang for your buck.
Yeah, so you're prioritizing it more as a treat rather than as a need more these days. Yeah.
May I point out as well, both of you boys 100%. Laughed at me when I said that I used to drink soda water, and it was the soda water and the mineral water that I had to wean off. Yeah, well, joke's on you, because look who's doing it now.
Yep, exactly.
Have you found any foods that you can't tolerate after having surgery that maybe you did before?
Yeah, I do struggle with some chicken. It depends on the type of chicken. Like a roast chicken, I really struggle with. It sits very heavy. Chicken tenderloins tend to sit very heavy as well. But I can stomach chicken thighs. So go figure. Steak and whatnot, we've just had steak and veggies for dinner, so they sit all right. We were only joking that, earlier that Haley bought a $5 piece of steak, and we cut it in half and then did a little bit extra off the side for Tilly, and we're a cheap eat now. It's great.
Both cheap dates.
But no, otherwise most foods I can go with. I was having a little bit of trouble there. Things weren't sitting right, and I was having to bring them up and whatnot, but I'd always sort of make up for it sort of a bit later on, where I'd try a little bit more and a little bit more, just take my time a little bit more, and relearning how to eat. That was more my issue.
Were you having to bring it up because you think that you were maybe eating too fast and it was just hitting your stomach too fast and too heavy, and you were bringing it up?
Yeah. That was one of my main issues, is I always used to eat fast, and that was a big issue when I sort of first started trying different foods, and ended up embarrassingly bringing it up. When we went out though, I was always very conscious, just take your time. But when you're at home and Hayley's made something delicious and it's like, oh yeah, and that's get real eager and didn't work out very pretty, but I've learned. It's a massive learning curve. It really is. You know, like you do certain things and you think, oh no, I'm not doing that again. Or drink something or eat something. You think, no, I'm cured of that now. I'll put that on that side. I can't eat that and come over here.
Yeah, that's kind of what we talked about last week was the mindful eating, because I did the same thing early on. I definitely ate too fast, vomited up. Like I probably did it probably 3 or 4 times. After that, I had a few times where I'd eat, like when we went out for dinner and stuff, and you get the throffies, same situation, the whole like thick saliva, Alita's had it. So yeah, it's very normal, because you do, if you're not mindfully eating, like when you're watching TV or you have something in front of you and you're just like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, like, it's down the esophagus and it's like all hitting home at once, it has nowhere to go. It kind of just goes, okay, we're coming back up.
I think the closest, I've never physically vomited from overeating since having surgery, which is one thing that I'm like, can't believe it. But I came
Coolum
very
Beach Hotel. No? Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
I don't remember that one. The day that we went up to Miss Moneypenny's.
Oh, Miss Moneypenny's,
and we did we paid X amount of money and it was a bottomless lunch. So it was all you could drink cocktails and it was a 3-course meal. Don't know why 2 sleeve patients decided to go to that.
I did say that.
Well, I was like, don't worry, we'll take it slow. I actually had to do a lap of Hastings Street because I was actually going to vomit. Like I went to the toilets and I had the foamy so bad that I was like bent over the toilets and had a few like little saliva spews, what I call them. Yet I still went back to the table and tried to eat dessert because, fat brain takes over. Had a few mouthfuls of my cocktail and then tapped on Shannon's shoulder and was like, Shan, we need to go for a walk. He was like, what? And I was like, I'm going to vomit.
Yeah.
I didn't. I walked it off, but
it's something to get used to. That's definitely for sure. How was your restriction? Like, do you feel like it's increased a little bit since the start, or how are you feeling about that whole thing?
It has increased, but not a whole lot. I'm still, you look at a plate and you think, oh yeah, no, that's not enough. But it definitely is. Like a piece of steak we had tonight. It was a half of a piece of I think about 300 grams, and I still only ate less than a quarter of it. So that really restriction is. I'm sort of at the point now where I know, okay, that's what I can eat. I push the rest aside and just leave it there because I know it's not worth it in the end to end up having to bring it up. And then, I'm actually pretty lucky, really. I am lucky.
Yeah, it's never good. It never tastes as good coming back up as it does going down. Funny thing about that.
And have you found that there's certain foods that you can like eat more of? Like, have you found, like we talk about slider foods a lot and stuff like that. Have you been tempted by slider foods, or like do you find pastas you just avoid because you can't eat as much of it, or like, is there certain things that you just can't eat or don't eat?
Yeah, I can't eat pastas, like as in just your regular everyday pasta. I can't eat. That doesn't sit well at all. We've tried little bows because of Tilly loves Emma Wiggles. So we have the pasta bows and they do not sit well at all. So I had a couple of them. I went, oh, no. So from then, if she has them, I just have the meat, the sauce, whatnot, and, live with that and some veggies on the side, and that's my go-to. But definitely the pasta. Breads and whatnot, I haven't really done a whole lot with breads or anything. If I do, it would be only just a half say if you're having a steak sandwich or a burger or something like that, it'd just be a half a piece of bread instead of the 2 stacked on top.
Yeah.
And then, it would be basically Hayley and I would split it, and then I'd only eat a smaller portion. She can eat a lot more than what I can, and I'll serve up mine, and I'll go, here we go. Yep, this is me. And I put that there, and I do the same for her, and she goes, come on, come on, I'm 4 years out. So
well, it's good. It's good that you have that to look at too with Hayley, because you're right. It will gradually just keep increasing until you get to kind of like that 4-year stage. Hayley would definitely be at the point where it's probably reached its max that it's probably going to get to. But it's good that you can look at Hayley and kind of understand that, hey, the portions will increase, and kind of see how she's navigating it. Kind of like you've kind of got a test dummy taking the road before you to kind of know exactly what's going to happen and where you need to be and stuff like that. So, yeah, no, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Does she still have restriction?
Yeah. No, and she does. Yeah, her restriction comes in and out quite often. Actually, like she'll have days where she can, eat and keep eating and keep eating, and then there's days there where she'll eat what I eat. She'll go, oh, I'm done. The restriction. She'll always say, oh, my restriction's really tight today. I can feel it. And
Tiny
she's
tummy
just
days.
got that know-how of her body at this stage.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
So we don't want to focus too much on the whole weight side of things, because obviously we can see a lot more coming out of this apart from the weight. But you did say in the original podcast that one of your goals was to get under 100 kilos. How is that going?
Yeah, well, I've flown by that, which is it's still, I can't believe that. We were talking about it the other day, actually, me and Hayley, and she said, remember your goal was to get under 100? I said, yep, we did that. And she said, yeah, well, I weighed in yesterday at 87.4, I think it was, something like that. And when I broke the 90, that I couldn't believe that. And I sent Will, our friend Will, sent him a message, and I went, man, look at this. This is ridiculous. And he said, oh, well, you're doing something right. So
Wow.
it's still, my head has not caught up with the fact that, I'm below that. So
because last time we
really,
spoke to you, you were 112
I'm so happy,
kilos.
though. Oh, was I?
Yeah, you were sitting at 112 kilos, and you were like, oh, I'm not far off that 100 kilo mark, but I'm just dying to get there. And wow, like that, my face was just in shock.
And you
just
said
then.
in the podcast too that that's the lightest you've been. So like, because you wanted to get back under 100, because you were like, oh, because that's the lightest I've been, and you've not wrong when you say you flew by it.
Yeah,
because like you haven't just gone you've gone to the 80s. Like that's and you look healthy. That's the thing. Like you haven't definitely you haven't gone too far. You look healthy. You look happy, and it just goes to show like you will never 90. Well, you're in the 90s, and you were like, oh, that's the lightest I've ever been, and now you've got down to the 80s, and it's just like it's amazing what this tool can offer. Like it's insane.
It totally is, and if you had said to me at the beginning of this journey that you're going to have an 8 at the start of your weight, and I know it's not all about weight and things like that, but and it's about that mental side of things. But if you said that at the beginning, I would have said, no, you're crazy. Like my goal was at 90. That's what I'd set myself, and my surgeon had said, hey, yep, that's a realistic goal. But I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would get to that goal. I did hover. I have a stall type thing around the 94 kilo mark. I think it was 93, something like that. And was there for a good month and a half. And I thought, oh, well, this is where I'm going to be at. And I'm stoked with that. Really good. And then the next week it was a kilo again. I went, oh, okay, that's all right. Take that. And I've stopped tracking my weight. And I think that was one thing, because I was just watching those numbers those numbers go. And in the end, it was just doing my head in, because you're constantly, oh, what's this week going to be? Oh, what's this week going to be? And for the last, I reckon it's 4 months that I haven't tracked it on my phone at all. I've just stood on the scales on a Tuesday, because I got sleeved on a Tuesday, and I stand on a Tuesday and go, oh yeah, cool, that's where I'm at, rightio, and then move on with the day, and with the little victories, like getting to 90 kilos, and walked out and said to Hayley, went, hey, I'm at 90 kilos. Wow. Oh, man, high five. So, yeah, and that's about the extent of it.
Yeah.
It's now more about life and getting, I've got that weight goal, but now I need different goals and to get that fulfillment, and it's, Shannon, you with your exercise regime and things like that, and, your challenges that you have done in the past really, inspire me to go, all right, this is what I need to do now. I need to start using the body for what it's made for.
And enjoying
getting
it.
out there.
Yeah, enjoying the body that you now have, and then the fitness you'll be able to find. Because it's a really great approach you're taking with the weight thing, because it can become, as you were just saying before, like every week you're looking at it and you're like, oh, it's going down, and you can really get addicted to that. So you looking at it and being like, well, 90 was my goal, I'm happy here. Time to take my focus away from that, and then just start living the life you want to live, and then your body will be a side effect of that as such. Because it's because we have this freedom of like the weight loss, and we've never had this in our life where it was just like, it was just happening, as part of life. It was just happening, and then you can kind of get a little bit addicted, and then start making decisions to keep it going because you want to see that scale keep moving. It can sometimes get a little bit dangerous.
But also it gets dangerous too when you're looking at it every single week and taking those numbers, like writing them down, jotting them down. And then if you have a week where it goes up, or a week or two where the scales actually start going up, then you start putting this anxiety on yourself where you're kind of like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Well, you're not necessarily doing something wrong. It's just, it could be a number of different things. Your body fluctuates. Have you had a moment where the scales have gone up rather than down?
Yeah. When it did go up, it went up, I think it was about 1.5 kilos or whatnot. And I thought, okay, well, forget about that. Just put it behind you and keep moving forward. Keep doing what you've been doing, because it has been working. And it's I've lost weight and put it back on, that many times, and lost weight as at a gym and things like that, where you've been working hard and eating a stringent diet. And I just sort of know, okay, well, maybe I drank a lot of water yesterday or whatnot, and it's all not out. And that's the sort of mentality that I've had when, that scale did go up, and went, all right, well, okay, next week. And I religiously do not weigh in between weigh-ins. It's only a Tuesday morning. I don't want to think about it any other time. It's just Tuesday morning. All right, well, it's just one of those mornings. Cool, move on. And then the following week, I think I'd lost that plus another 0.5 kilo or 2 kilo, another kilo.
Yeah.
Something like that it was. So it was just one of those days, I guess it was.
And it's a good opportunity.
I don't like to dwell on the past.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to check yourself though. Like, if you do have one of those weeks, like weekly is good. Weekly gives you a guide of like where you're at, and it'll go up, it'll go down, and that's fine. I feel like there's no problem with that. But like, it also, if it does go up, you can kind of go, what have I done this week? Like, have I done anything that I shouldn't have done? And it gives you that chance to kind of just I check yourself, like just be like, oh, am I maybe doing some stuff I shouldn't be doing? At the end of the day, you just don't want to be like, oh my God, I put on weight, and then start making really bad food decisions and just like almost starving yourself to lose the weight. I think that's where it starts to become a little bit of an issue.
But I also think being quite early on still, because like you're not even quite even a year out yet. Like it's fine that if a week or two the numbers go up, because that it should go down. Yeah. It's when you sort of get to where we're at, and if you jump on the scales week after week and they're still going up and they're not coming back down, that's when you've got to sort of check yourself.
Yeah, which I'm sure
what are we
with
doing?
Hayley, you've probably witnessed that, where like she has a couple of bad weeks and then goes, I need to pull my head in a little bit. I think it's all just part of the process, because at the end of the day, it took us, as I always say, it took us 30 years to program certain things in. It's obviously going to take longer than a year or two to program them back out, or get on top of them. So, you did actually just mention before about goals and exercise and different things like that. Have you got anything in your sights? Like, is anything you kind of like, I wouldn't mind dabbling in that?
Well, I kind of put it out there to Hayley, and now I'm putting it out there to you guys for the world to see. So I do want to do a triathlon.
Oh.
And just a small one to begin with, nothing ridiculous. I've never been a swimmer, and that's one thing that I thought, well, hey, I haven't done much swimming, so might as well. Let's just do it. So I went for a little swim at the local pool recently, and that was an eye-opener, because I haven't swum since probably high school, like proper lap swimming. So it's so that's going to be a true challenge. That's how it looked too.
You're like Tilly's able to do laps, do laps around me at this point in time.
Totally. So that's a goal of mine. I want to set, because I've never really been much of a runner. So hey, chuck that in the mix. I've always ridden bikes back in the high school days and whatnot, and swimming I haven't done. So hey, let's do this while while I can.
Let's bang all three together and see what happens.
One will be good.
Yeah, a little sprint try would be good, or even an enticer, you know, something like that, you know, just to kind of see what your body's capable of, because I think you will surprise yourself, because you'll kind of be like, wow, and then you'll do the usual thing where you go, I want that feeling again.
You start off with an enticer try, and then you go, well, what's an extra 2 kilometers on the end of that run? And then you're like, oh, well, what's an extra 50 kilometers? It gets addictive.
Yeah. No, I'm really looking forward to it. I set a target for maybe this time next year, or maybe August or September, whenever the try. I don't even know when they're on. So, get techniques right and all aspects in running and the swimming, and get everything all sorted, get it all lined out, so then can hit the ground running with it.
Love it.
I'm excited, and I'm sure I will get addicted to it.
Yeah, well, if you need any, if you have any questions, you can ask Alita.
I was going to say, don't come to us because we don't know much.
People come to me all the time and they're like, hey, do you have any recommendations for this or that? And I'm like, honestly, I'm just winging it. So, you can do what I did and just wing it. It's kind of how we roll. But no, you'll love it. That's super exciting. And we would love to check back in. We said 3 months last time, but we'd love to check back in with you 3-6 months, somewhere down the track, bring you back on, because honestly, I'm enjoying watching on Instagram. You thrive, and as we just saw in the meetup, seeing you out and just enjoying life. It's what we want to do. We just want to keep touching back in, letting everyone listen back into your story, and just kind of go, he's back. This is great.
And next time we have you back on, you'll be able to hold up a little medal from your triathlon and say, I did it. I finished it. I got across that finish line. So
you watch it, you'll be like, yeah, so now my focus is on an Ironman.
A 70.3.
Yeah, let's do the Hawaiian one. Let's all go.
Yeah.
We'll just all go across the Kona.
Nick, thank you, buddy, for sitting down with us. You are definitely my favorite bus driver. So thank you very much for sitting down with us.
Do you have any words of wisdom, any parting words on the last 6 months of your journey that you'd like to share with the world? Any tips, any tricks that you found really helpful?
Yeah, just trust the process. Trust the process. The tool that you've been given will work if you make it work for yourself. Just trust what your dietitian says. Trust what your surgeon says. Don't listen to your mind and listen to what you used to be, because that's the old you. You don't need the food or anything like that to deal with these emotions anymore. You've got the tool to help you get through it, and just get your head right and you'll be right.
Love it.
I love it.
Sound advice.
Very sound advice. Well, I was about to say I just threw you under the bus there, but I was like, that's my little pun for the day.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Well, I think
on
that's
that
a good note to wrap it up on. Guys, thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Nick. You're an absolute legend. And yeah, that is another episode of Barry Banter. Why, yes, that is another episode of Barry Banter in the books. We hope you got a little something from that one.
Head on over to Facebook or Instagram and check us out, or go to baribanter.com where you can watch past episodes, give us feedback, and let us know who you want to hear from next.
We love you all, and as always, please stay beautiful.